Wow, what a Thursday night football game. The Detroit Lions defeated the Green Bay Packers 34-31. The Lions advance to 12-1 on the season and the Packers fall to 9-4. Going into the game, the expectation was set very high. Both teams on regular rest as they both played on Thanksgiving. Two of the best teams in the NFC and hell, in the NFL altogether versing each other. We had high expectations for this Thursday night football game. And boy, did these two teams deliver as the Detroit Lions picked up the win 34-31. I want to start by talking about the Lions and just kind of everything about them, their attitude, Dan Campbell, the fourth down go for it at the end of the game, and why exactly this team is just so successful despite all the injuries on the defense. And then we do have to have a little bit of a hard conversation about the Packers that Packers fans may not like. Now, for the Lions side of things, Jared Goff, man, when they needed him to perform, he certainly performed. 13 of 13 on his last 13 pass attempts, 32 of 41 on the night, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick, and a 109.7 passer rating. In this spot, in this game, Jared Goff showed up against a Packers defense that's pretty solid. And obviously, Gibbs and Montgomery continue to be a pretty good running back duo, but only 51 yards tonight for Montgomery on the ground, 43 for Gibbs. The Packers did a really good job stopping the Lions' rushing attack. Obviously, Gibbs and Montgomery both scored, and for fantasy purposes, they were fine. But in terms of what the Lions were able to do moving the ball on the run game, it wasn't that great. It was okay. It wasn't bad, but the Packers did a pretty good job making them a passing offense. And a couple of teams have done this to Jared Goff and the Lions this year. And it seems like every single time that happens, Jared Goff's ready for the moment, steps up, and plays a good game. And this was even on a night where Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't have a great game. You had Tim Patrick scoring two touchdowns, Jamison Williams with 80 yards, Sam Laporta with 54. Jared Goff was spreading the wealth, dealing on that Packers defense. And now he's led his team to 12-1. And that fourth down, go for it call, the handoff to Montgomery where Goff slips, and if it was college, as soon as a knee hits down in college football, the play's over, it would have been non-converted. But Goff falling to the ground, knee on the ground, almost completely horizontal, somehow gets that ball perfectly to Montgomery, where he rushes and picks up the first down. Ludicrous. And the fact that the Lions went for it in that spot is so Dan Campbell. It's so Detroit Lions. 40, somewhere between 30 and 40 seconds sort of been left on that clock. No timeouts for the Packers. Would have taken a miracle for them to get into field goal range to force overtime. And Dan Campbell says, I'm going to go for it. And objectively, I think it was the wrong decision, but it's the Lions' identity. And Dan Campbell in this organization are so big on living and dying on their sword that you have to respect it. Personally, I still think they should have kicked the field goal. It worked out, but man, if you knew Goff was going to fall, I mean, how many times out of 10 with Goff falling does that play fail? And all of a sudden, now you don't even get to take the gimme chip shot field goal that you had before the first down. But that's the Lions, man. They're aggressive, and they're willing to be aggressive to a fault. They have grit. Not many teams go for it in that spot. Hell, they might be the only team that goes for it in that spot. But they're also the only team that sits at 12-1 at this point in time. Now, Kansas City could get there, obviously, but Detroit, man, they are a special group of guys. And to overcome all the injuries that they have on defense, one is and has been a challenge and has been super impressive, but is going to continue to be. Brian Branch gets hurt in this game, another defensive lineman. They are dropping like flies on that Detroit defense. And Aaron Glenn hasn't skipped a beat. The pass rush in this game was uber impressive from guys that I didn't expect it to be, truthfully. I mean, Za'Darius Smith, yes, but they were getting constant pressure. And the coverage was fine. Like, Aaron Glenn is coaching his ass off for this team. The Lions are a perfect storm right now, truthfully. And if you're new to the channel, you know, make sure you subscribe, obviously, if you love the NFL. But I do the weekly tier list, and the Lions have been in the Super Bowl favorites next to Philly for weeks. And I think that, those two teams are just on a heater right now that nobody in the NFC can compete with. And we saw it in this game. The Packers, you could argue, are the third or fourth best team in the NFC. And even though it was close, for me at least, I felt like the Lions were going to win the entire time. That's just how I felt. It felt like the Lions were clearly the better team. And it was close. Green Bay played them close. And Jordan Love had some impressive plays. And Green Bay got off to that really hot start in the second half. And I give them all the credit in the world for that. But the Lions are just on another level. The Lions might be on another level from every team in the NFL. We'll see when we get there. But right now, they're firing on all cylinders. The offense is uber efficient, uber effective, consistent week to week. And the defense also consistently showing up. Next man up mentality. Who's ever out there, they are shining. And you start to wonder, damn, what would this team look like if Aiden Hutchinson was out there? Scary thought. But great win for Detroit. Great performance from Goff. Great coaching by Campbell, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Overall, a really big win. They knock Green Bay essentially out of the race for the NFC North, and they are just trudging along. Now, the uncomfortable Green Bay Packers conversation that we have to have is the Packers are 9-4. They're going to be a playoff team. They are a dangerous team in the playoffs by all means. But they are maybe the fourth best team in the NFC. They're top 4, but I could make a case that they're definitively locked into 4. Because they're 0-4 this year against the Lions, Vikings, and Eagles. 2 losses now to the Lions, 1 to the Vikings, 1 to the Eagles. 9-0 against everybody else. And for them to progress to a Super Bowl, they would have to beat 2 of those teams. And thus far this year, what the tape tells you, what your eyes tell you, what the stats sheet tells you, is that they can't do it. Now, obviously, in the playoffs, circumstances change, things can change. But right now, when you look at the Packers, I think it's fair to have them a tier below Detroit and Philly, for sure. And we'll see on Minnesota. And they're out of the race for the NFC North, truthfully. With 4 games left to go on their schedule in Detroit's not losing out to Green Bay winning out. That's not happening. Not a shot. So the Packers will be, once again, playing on the road from a wild card perspective. Luckily for them, they did that last year. Their players should be comfortable. And I don't want anybody to take what I'm saying is very anti-Packers. I think this is a great team. And I think Josh Jacobs was a hell of a pickup. If Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley weren't potentially having record-breaking seasons, we'd be talking a lot more about Josh Jacobs. The guy's a freak. He had 3 touchdowns tonight and has become a very reliable part of this offense and will continue to be. Tackling him in the cold isn't going to be fun. But there are some clear concerns for me with the Packers. And Jordan Love has cut down on the interceptions, which is great. Tonight he was 12 for 20, 206, 1 touchdown, and 111 passer rating. Would like to see more passing attempts, but the game script didn't call for it, and the Lions, with their hyper-efficient offense, kept him off the field for the most part. But can Jordan Love reach that second gear? And does he have the weapons to do it? Because all offseason I heard how the Packers have 4 wide receiver ones. And my response to that was, if you have 4 wide receiver ones, that probably means you have 4 wide receiver 2 to 3s. And there's not a clear alpha there. And in the big spots, in the big games, you're going to want an alpha to go to on 3rd down. And they don't have that. Don't tell me Christian Watson, Jaden Reed was held without a catch tonight. As much as I think he's spectacular and he's probably the most talented, there's not going to be a day where Justin Jefferson is held without a catch. Jamar Chase, no catch. CeeDee Lamb, no catch. Those are alphas. Jaden Reed's great too. The Packers feel just a tick below and maybe just a year away. But 0-4 against your three biggest rivals in your conference doesn't really spell well for postseason success. I've had to hear about Jordan Love being the best quarterback in the NFC. Jared Goff's outplayed him twice this year. Sorry. Like, it's the truth. Am I taking him over Stafford? I don't know. Stafford's got that Super Bowl in recent memory, and he could still sling it. Jalen Hurts is on a team where he doesn't have to throw the ball much right now, but I think it's a conversation to be had. I think we were ready to anoint the Packers too soon. And I think that they have a great future. I like the direction that they're headed. But 0-4 against your three biggest rivals in your conference, again, not a great look going forward. We'll see, though. Maybe they prove me wrong. But those are just my thoughts coming out of this Thursday Night Football game. Detroit looks excellent. They advanced to 12-1, and the Packers got some clear issues and seem just a tick behind some of their best NFC competitors. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel and you love the NFL, be sure to do so. Leave a like on this video. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.